on this computer.
Okay, so I will share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can.
Yes. Okay. So for the first item, and last week, actually 2 weeks ago, I finished on the implementation of queue rerouting, and then I related some merge requests into omnibus GitLab and Kubernetes chart to include those routing rules configurations. And currently, one of them is omnibus, and one of them is still in pending, but still I will demo that today. So I set up a VM in my local machine with torrent attached, and then install the omnibus GitLab inside my machine, and I mapped my working PCs into that virtual machine so that I can get the newest omnibus GitLab configuration inside the machine. And then if I edit the GitLab.api and file for the routing rule configuration right here, and input my own configuration. So in this demo, I input some basic rule like the worker names, the resource boundary, and then the memory resource boundary again, and then the broadcast configuration. So something like this. Okay. So basically, this rule will route on pages worker into the hello queue, on the resolve memory into the memory bar worker, and restore memory CPU into a queue generated by its name, and then on the rest workers will be routed into a default workers. And after change the configurations, I just restart my virtual machine. Actually reinstall, reconfigure a GitLab inside my virtual machine. So something like this configure and wait.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a lot of change. Okay, and start again.
Which file does that end up in? It's one of the YAML files, isn't it?
Yes, I just use the default configuration. Okay, so when I set, okay, I have to wait for it to start again. So during that, we just start the rest construction. Let's see. Basically, I can do some actions on the UI to demo the queue routing, but it would take a lot of time to just navigate, and we just can't cover all the things. So it is easier.
Yep.
So slow. Still. No?
Tail, isn't it?
Tail? That is the web again, too much. Still. Reloading application. Oh wow, it took so long. Finally. Okay, right now. So I set the sidekiq admin right here and just go to the queue. So the first one we try is the basis worker confirm machine. I don't care about the results. And when I set the enqueue here, it should be here. So let's say I reroute the basis queue to the hello queue right here.
Nice.
Okay, why it's 3 of them. I just delete them. Try again. Okay, it was now. Yes, it's going right into the basis worker. And then the second one is the memory bar queue. So I would try something like project export worker. Okay, it should go into the memory bar worker, right here.
Nice.
And the third one is one with the CPU boundary worker, which is the smart para cache worker thing. And somehow the export payload cache worker has next by inside. So I will to find it here is by highlight cache worker right here. So okay, where is it? Where is it? Fail on the track. Okay, it goes into fail. It got so fast.
Right.
Maybe I will stop.
Stop sidekiq.
I will maybe stop the sidekiq. Okay, try again.
You just tailed the logs. You didn't stop it.
Okay, finally. No.
All you did was you were just tailing the logs. I didn't see you actually stop sidekiq. Oh.
Oh, okay. That's sidekiq. Okay, and try again. Right here. Finally.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the last one for on the other default queue. So I will got something like a merge worker or something. I see. Okay. Some random worker I collected, like this one. So 2 of them, and let's try again with default. Oh, right here.
Nice.
So yes, I'm glad that it works. Okay, I really want to demo the Kubernetes one, but somehow I messed up the Kubernetes configuration in my local machine, so it doesn't work for now. So I just demo the validation. So basically, in the last review, you told me that we can delegate the configuration to the application so that the application will validate the configuration first. And then the distribution team recommend that we can use the check config to revalidate on the chart, and I tried. It kind of works quite well, I think. So something like check config and routing rules. Yes, so that I can write really complicated validation rule right here. Oh. And for our routing rules, we will first validate the slide, and then it has actually each item in the slide will have exactly 2 item, and then for the first item will be a string, which is the queue name and the query, and the second one, the queue name, would be either a string or the well, a null. So the check config is really strong, and it supports nearly all kind of configuration validation I need. So basically, it's kind of good for now. So I will try some invalid configuration and use the ham instance for that. So when I input the string here, it will show an error and route to the documentation. And right now the documentation should be ready if I'm not wrong. Oh, right here. So basically we can validate the routing rule now. And for really some complicated configuration like, okay, worker name is equal to basis and route to the hello queue, and then put some invalid queue here. So when I install again, it should validate this case as well. Yes, and if I input a valid one, like input the new here, it should be valid, and the ham can install the chart.
Right. So.
Oh, right, and it doesn't work.
So there's one very little quick question here. So in the Helm files and also in the charts, it's going to be null, but in the Ruby for omnibus, it's going to be nil, isn't it? On the right-hand side when you want the default behavior.
Yes, it can be null. And if it's null, the worker queue will be set by the name generated by the worker name, like the page worker will queue to the page queue.
Yep. Sorry. So what I meant is in the YAML for the charts, we have to use the word null, N-U-L-L, and in the RB file for omnibus, we have to use nil, N-I-L. It's fine. It's just
yes, precisely, because it's the Ruby file, so we have to use new.
Yeah, it's fine. It was just I was thinking nil the whole way, and I was forgetting about the YAML, and then I was seeing some of the issues Sean had created when we got to start using this, and he was using null, and I need to write that down somewhere in some of our issues so that we make sure that we use the right one in the right place. Otherwise, we're just gonna get errors, and it's gonna be annoying, and it's gonna confuse someone. There's no choice. It's YAML versus Ruby. That's
it's YAML. It's a little bit harder to enforce that. Yeah, that is okay.
That's fine. Cool, thank you. That was on my list of things I was trying to figure out today. I haven't got to it yet.
Yeah, okay. So it's on of my first demo, and the second one is the job payload compression. So basically, in this issue, I explored the 3 approaches, and I talk about the job payload compressing and uploading a lot. Since then, finally I can make a conclusion and move on with the final solution. And I explored 3 solutions. The first one is to upload on the oversized job payload to object storage, and I talk about this in the last demo, and then I demo it as well. And the second one is that we enable the race mode in sidekiq job payload and provide some utilities helpers to resolve the offenses. It means that we can just let the jobs fail, and then on the teams will just tag our utility helper to upload the objects to the object storage by themselves. But I found that's a little bit hard to do so. It basically doesn't the responsibility is not in our hands, and we have to delegate to our teams. And it is really easy to mess up at first, because at the development process, it's really hard to detect such situation. And we have to wait until it deploys into production and stay there for a while, and finally get some unexpected behavior before we can do something about that. So it's maybe not ideal to wait until then, and we still mess up something before we can fix this situation. So finally, I come to the final solution, which is compress the oversized payload. And this solution is suggested by Sean in the last demo as well. So the idea is that we just compress using gzip algorithm to compress on the payload before pushing that into the job into Redis. So this solution is really straightforward and easy to implement. gzip compression is already shipped with Ruby, and we just need to do that inside the application. And the compression rate is really a hard factor to predict for now. So that's why I spend a lot of my time to go to actually dig in a lot into the each cases, and then I collect on the sample data here. It's about 20 or 30 of them, and I try to compress on the data I collected with the gzips with different levels. And finally, I can come to conclusion that the gzip compression is really effective for session. It's not very effective for emails though. Like okay, for the average or even the moderate size of session, if we can compress about 5 times smaller than the original file. And for the email, it's really hard to compress because the email contains the attachment inside, and the attachment is just a chunk up by 64 encoding, and it's already compressed before, so it's really hard to make it smaller. So we just get it about 3 times smaller here. So I would consider the email attachment would be an escape for this solution. And we move on and choose a different way to communicate between mailroom and our sidekiq. It should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just move on. Oh, Sean asked. Okay, so I already finished on the implementation related to it. So I will demo it today as well. So basically, by default, no configuration will be installed. So I will start my console. Okay, start something. Yes. So right in this demo, I will use GDK, but it's easier. And for the data, I collect a push event and into a really big repository, which is our GitLab repository. and that data is about 4 megabytes. Okay, right here. So, okay, I will have to start on everything. Sama for cost. Oh, it's okay. Yes, and try again. And the data is something like this. It is one payload we generate before we push into the webhook worker to deliver it to the customer. And for a really big chain, it looks like hundreds of thousands of file chains, and this is quite huge. And I would check the byte size about 2 sessions. So it's about 4 megabytes. Yes, and right now if I so if I don't enable the compression mode and I push that into the sidekiq, it would be a huge payload to process. And right here we have like the whole 4 megabyte of payload, and it's glad that the argument is already filtered right here. So yeah, it's a nice thing, but it's still really big. And if I enable the compression, the situation will be different. So I already have like a middleware from at the client side to validate the size of the payload. And in the implementation, I should add one more mod into that, which is the compression mod. And when I enable the compression mod, with just like this compress mod and enable some restaurants for that. For example, I will compress everything above 100 kilobytes right here. And finally, just one more environment variable to limit the actual size that I won't allow anything below above 20 megabytes after conversion. Actually, it can be lower, so just 5 megabytes. Okay, and then start again. Okay, here's the big data. And finally, I push this one into, oh no, not this one, this one. Okay. So after, oh no, this is the sample data, sorry. Okay, this the one. No. Okay, this is the one. So basically, after the compressions, sorry, this mess up, and the original byte size is just like 4 megabytes, and the size after compression is about 7 kilobytes. But I messed up the implementation, but set into some empty one. So, but it should be about 700 kilobytes.
Nice.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I add one more item into the log file, which is the original byte size. So that is just include the original and the one the size after conversion, so that we can have a clear picture and find out the effectiveness of conversion afterward. Yes. So basically, the implementation is done, but I have to tweak and add some tests into that, and it could be ready at the end of this week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
Oh.
I don't have anything I can really demo this week. Most of the stuff I've been doing is the trace chunk cleanup, and as soon as I start showing that on screen, then I end up showing sensitive data, and I don't really. Probably better if we don't do that.
Yeah, no worry. We just I will look forward to that in the demo next week.
Yes, I'll see what I can do with showing that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yes, I think we're done today and have a great rest of the day.
Oh, cool. See ya. Bye.
Bye.